So this last example is really just showing you an organizational tool for when you have to do repeated antidifferentiation by parts. You can tell that you will have to do repeated antidifferentiation by parts if the u you chose is something that eventually will get you down to the derivative is equal to 0. Um, so we're going to start by thinking about what u we would choose using Lipit. For this example, there are no logs. There's no inverse trig, but there is a polynomial, which is x cubed. So we would use x cubed for our u, and then dv will be everything else. And I hope you can see that if you keep taking the derivative of x cubed, eventually you're going to get down to 0. So we're going to do that. We're going to just go through the derivatives until we get to 0. And so this would become 3x squared. And the antiderivative of cosine of x would be sine of x. And then we'll take another derivative, so that would be 6x. And the antiderivative of sine x would be cosine of x, but it would be negative. And then one more derivative would be 6. And the antiderivative of negative cosine of x would be negative sine of x. And if we did one more, we would have 0, and the antiderivative of negative sine of x would be cosine of x. Okay. And so the way the tabular method works is you look diagonally, because this would be u times v, and this would be u times v on the second round. And so diagonally, each of those would be u times v. And so we do, and the other thing we do is, because of that subtraction in the antidifferentiation formula, we start with adding, but because of that subtraction, we'll subtract the next one. And then because of that subtraction, we'll add the next one. So you really alternate signs here. And so it looks like this. It's going to be x cubed times sine of x. That's this diagonal. Minus 3x squared times negative cosine of x. Plus 6x times negative sine of x. Minus 6 times cosine of x plus c. And it's a little shortcut for going through multiple iterations of integration by parts. The only thing I would do for this answer is clean up signs a little bit, but otherwise it's just fine. X cubed sine x plus 3x squared cosine of x minus 6x sine x minus 6 cosine of x plus c. I hope you're feeling curious enough that you actually try taking this derivative and see that a whole bunch of stuff drops out when you take this derivative, and you wind up with x cubed times cosine of x.